Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Tech News. We have actually a very special behind the scenes type of episode today with a privileged guest. Joining us today on Tech News is Abdur-Rahmaan Janhangeer, distinguished figure in the Python and open source communities internationally and in Mauritius as well. He's the author of the book SQLite Internals, a committee member of Flaskcoin, the founder of Compiler Alchemy, and an engineer at Metabot. Abdurrahman is also a co-founder of PyMug, the Python Mauritius user group, and he's actively contributing to the growth of Python and the related technologies like machine learning, generative AI, both locally and globally. So, Abdul-Rahman, welcome to this new episode on the podcast. How are you?
Well, hi everyone, and welcome to this episode. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you very much. So, it was a bit of a prompt arrangement because I felt that we could have you as soon as possible, especially with your latest product and project as well, which I think is now time to be put on to be exposed to the world. So today our subject will be the LinkVersity product that Abdur-Rahman has been developing and showcasing to us for some time now. But he recently got a new, how you say that? What did you do actually?
Well, I did a UI revamp because people didn't like the old UI, so I worked on the UI, and it was sort of hard because I'm on the back end and I had to make it look acceptable, make it look good. Yes, and I'll also began sharing the project with people, and people have been using it. So yes, that was a difference previously since it was open source. It was mostly local, but now I've hosted it on a domain, and so here we are today.
The first thing that caught my attention was how simple but how beautiful the UI was. I'll check it on my mobile the first thing, and I saw that immediately. Yes, this is something we can use. It's nice. So we will eventually be getting into a demo in a few moments. But first and foremost, I am very interested. I'm sure almost anyone who is going to listen to this podcast is also interested. What is the story behind LinkVersity?
Well, actually, the idea was to, for example, sometimes to contribute to a project, you need a lot of knowledge. If the project is very approachable, you just jump in. But sometimes, if the project is complicated, so you need to know a lot of things before actually starting. And if you're on the maintenance side of things, so you'd want to help people get started, even if they are very new. To that effect, you'd like people to know what you know. But unfortunately, if you are going to do that, you'd have to write books after books, which is not feasible. And also, sometimes maybe books are paid. So one way that one possible solution which I've seen projects do is to collect links, organize them into sections, and ask new contributors to go through them. So that's how it actually started. There was a project called Humo SQL, Humo SQL, if you like it, which is a fork of SQLite adding encryption. For example, encryption. For example, one of the Signal uses some packages, and some maintenance of these packages they work on Humo SQL, which on GitHub I'm also like the only person who is listed behind beside the original author because that's because everybody use another control version control system. But to, well, I'm digressing, but originally it was to contribute to open source to organize links into sections.
Very nice. It's a very cool idea. I like it. And tell me something. Which technologies did you decided to use for this project?
Well, since I'm very bullish on Flask, so I use Flask, and also I have my own framework, which after years of freelancing I developed, which is called Shopio, which is just which gives you some powerful features for Flask. I use that, and on the front end I used Tailwind.
One time I remember looking for some projects onto GitHub like a few years back, and one of the projects that were trending in the Python section, I don't know how to describe it, and in Mauritius was your project. This is how I actually get to know you. Like the author was Abdur-Rahmaan, was I think first time you work on it and you published it. And I saw that. I looked into the code. I was doing a bit some Python myself, and I was very impressed. The Shopio, yeah, it's a very good project. And
Yes,
let's continue. Yes.
sorry, you can go on.
Yeah. No. No. Go on. All yours.
Okay, so let's start by the story behind. So this was the original use case. For example, for this, so what you do, you put some section, you add some links for people for contributors to go through, more sections, more links, etc. So this was the original like use case. But since then, I've added some features like, for example, likes and bookmarks. You can edit, delete, and also control the privacy of the thing. For example, you can set it to private, and also you can password protect your different, I don't know, collection of links or whatever you'd call that. So yes, this was the story. The app is very simple, but for example, for creating something, so you see, I don't know, so demo collection, and then you add some section like basics. I don't know, some links. You can add either in the form of Markdown or normally, and then you submit. You've created it, and you can also edit them. And for example, you can also set it as private.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I think it's not appearing on the screen. It's not you've changed tab or
Yes. Okay. Yes. Apparently, I changed tab. Sorry. Let me let me continue where I left. So it was here. So just edit it out in the, well, paste it here. So okay, can you see it?
yes,
Okay.
looking, it's appearing.
Okay. This was the, sorry. This was the story behind. As you can see, we have for people who want to contribute to Luma SQL, you have different sections that the contributors. It is highly recommended they go through, and then you have a series of links that, well, they have to to read. And yep, so this was the original use case, but then I decided to add some cool features like people can actually like collections they see as interesting. They can also bookmark them. Yep. And yeah, so you can also like delete, change the visibility, for example, from public to private, and password protect links and collections. The app is actually very simple. For example, to create a new collection, so you say just say demo, You can also, for example, add sections like, let's say, basics. You can add links normally or using Markdown. So here is it. And, here you can see that on your profile you can have different stuff that you have. The private ones are annotated as being private. And for example, the demo we just created, let me set the privacy to private. And yes, it's private, and you can also like password protected. Let me set a password 1234. I just set a password, and it says to me I must input the password. And once I input it, so I can see it. And here it will say that it's private as well as password protected. And that's a bit about, and also, of course, you can have bookmarks when you bookmark something. And I'm also, here you can see people have created like different stuffs apart from me. And yep, so that's a bit, the tool is conceptually very simple. But when I began sharing the tool with people, they saw like there is a lot of value in it. Yep, so that's a bit about the tool.
Thank you very much. Now I have some questions. So first and
Okay.
foremost, the questions will certainly interest you. Why do you believe this tool can be successful when we already have other technologies like Google Docs?
Well, that's a very interesting question. For example, for once for one you can share links. For example, if something is public, for example, let's say this one, you can share it to anybody without them needing to log in. Secondly, if you host it yourself, it's for you. You host it. There's no Google spying on you. Thirdly, it's about the single purposeness of the tool. Once when Spotify CEO was asked, like, how do they intend to compete with Google Music, with Apple Music? So he said that Apple is working to that effect, that Apple is working on a million of things at the same time, and they are working only one thing. So that attention to detail and the experience they promise to give to users. So by that by the single purposeness of the tool, they hope to outbid generic tools or multi-purpose tools. So this is for links, especially for links. This has a specific format. And already people have like there are any people who is into links, even people who gather links, people who do research, or teachers who we actually have a teacher using it who collects resources in it. So it is on. I'm betting on the single purposeness of the tool.
Yes, thanks. This reminds me of a story I've read a few years back, especially when the tablets were all rage, like the iPad Pro, Apple Surface Book, and some people ask Amazon, why Kindle? Why continue investing in the Kindle? I think there are two or three models. Why try to improve them when there is so many competition on the market? So one of the guys, the engineer or CEO or the person responsible for the Kindle said the same thing as what you just said. Huh? He said that because Kindle was designed for a single purpose, to read books or PDF, while the tablet does gazillion of things. So that's why today we still see Spotify winning and Kindle still pretty much on the market. So
Yaps,
it goes
yaps.
right back. But something else that caught my attention when we were talking about the university was funding model. Why am I asking this? Because I think you're certainly paying for the server, for the domain name, so there are some costs in behind. And let's say if tomorrow you want to improve it, You might need some time or even delegate it to someone else. Do you have any intent behind to make money? Like, what's the funding model, if any?
Yeah, so well, definitely, I think to for a project, any open source project is it's very nice if it's self-funded. One a very interesting way I've seen it being done is by a tool called Jibble, Jibble .io, which is a time tracking software which is free and provides basic features for small teams that they won't need to upgrade. But at the same time, they also include a paid version. So I'm thinking of going that route to provide a paid version of LinkVersity, like basically just an upgraded account. And of course, if you self-host the thing, you can get the upgraded account yourself. But on this part, so would be you would be paying for it, just like, for example, Reflex, which is a tool like React tool in Python, which compiles your Python code into React. It literally like transpiles whatever Python code you have. So they have Reflex Cloud where you can deploy your Reflex apps. So they make money using that way. You have, for example, Open Status, which you can self-host. It's a monitoring app that you can self-host, but they also have their cloud that if you want them to monitor your apps, you pay them. So I'm thinking of going a bit the same route of having some upgraded features that people pay for.
Yes, very interesting. I was thinking, yeah, you've done a lot of research behind and great. So very impressive. And maybe something related to the open source idea. Uh, if we know that open source has a lot of advantage, but what if someone comes and copies your ideas and maybe improve it or monetize it differently? What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, so actually, since it's open source, anybody can go and grab it, which is true. But um, I think like open status. So yes, anybody can have their own version. Anybody can self-host, but some people they do like not having to worry about it, and I think it will become cheaper if they actually pay a subscription than self-hosting the thing. Maybe not on Amazon, no, but let's say they want to buy a domain, they want to pay for hosting. Maybe at least the domain. Let's say I put the subscription fee to be the same as the domain name. Uh, Definitely, it will be cheaper for them to buy some upgrades like at that price. Yes, it's and also yes, everybody can steal the fact remain that anybody can steal the idea, can enhance it, can improve it, but it boils down to the single purposeness of the app, like the passion for it. Like competitors have always existed, and even let's say I never open source it. So people just by looking at the features, they can copy it, and they can use it, market it as their own. I wouldn't have any control over that. But the fact that this one is open source, so people they they can relate to they feel like some sort of trust. Now, if there was another open source project that copies its features, so it's a competition. So definitely, yeah, with or without open source, competition exists. But it's all about how much you're willing to go for the project.
Yeah, nice one. I remember hearing something very similar on Twitter X at the time. They were arguing, what if when Twitter X they made their system open source, their code bases, what if someone else or another company or a competitor copies their code? And one of the answer was that even if they can copy, the deployment, the orchestration, the whole suite wasn't really documented there. That's one thing, and it wasn't easy. So, even if they could copy, like just one thing to add on them, it would be very, very hard, almost impossible to deploy without the proper steps, process, and people in behind. So just to say, just to add that even if we have a project, a piece of code, a technology that is open source and that we can have access to the code, doesn't mean that we can actually easily deploy it ourselves or build it.
It's
That's
also
very
the
clear.
passion behind the thing, like the right context, the right people, the right head start, all that plays a role, and how long you're willing to keep yourself in the game. Maybe if something is really viral, you make a copy, and then maybe when you hit an obstacle, you're out of the race. But someone who is passionate, maybe they will keep going, and something that you keep going. Sometimes, many times, you do get some return at the end. So there's also this point. I think maybe.
So maybe one more thing for this episode is what's the mindset, the mentality you want to share with anyone who wants to try to do a personal project like that, but maybe they are hesitating, maybe they're postponing, or most importantly, maybe they're afraid that people will judge them. What do you have to say to them?
Well, for example, this one, it was a very long journey. If you see the if you see the landing page, our previous launch on Product Hunt was the seventh product of the day. Uh, you see, I voted, and I think it was you see D rank 7. So I did that one without any marketing team behind, just by myself, just by people looking at the product, and I did hit some few friends to vote it, but it wasn't that much. But the previous launch was very nice, more than I expected. So for this launch, so you see, it's we are I launched today, and we are 13. So if you are around, so you can avoid it. But it's a long thing. The other one, I launched it without even a domain name. It was, I think, last year, but this year also. So it's more about I think how much are you invested in the tool, and I think this tool had a side benefit which I didn't realize. Like, first, I made something useful for myself. I kept using it, and other people also found it useful. But at the same time, I'm like, this is a useful product. Let's go for it. And I guess usefulness is something very interesting. And at the same time, since I was building something useful, it turned out to be nice in a lot of ways. For example, you have many bookmark managers, but this one is like a social bookmark app where people can share they can share stuffs. And maybe I'm planning to put more features on the explore section. But yes, it's more about keep building, and I think open source is gives you a very nice discipline of keeping keep shipping and coding every day, thinking of features, talking to users. One is usefulness, second is open source, the third is talking to people who actually use your app.
Yes, super, excellent, very, very good. Thank you very much, Abdur-Rahmaan. I think we had a very good session and covered all the bases. So for me personally, I hope and I pray that you continue with the excellent work that you are doing with the Python community, but also this amazing product. And
So
see
thank you
you
very
around.
much.
Yeah,
So thank you very much for having me, and good continuation for tech news, which is very nice. And I really hope we can give you episodes one after the other in some organized fashion. Thanks for having me.
sure. Sure. We are going to have a bit more like on site eventually when time permits. So thanks, Abdur-Rahmaan.